You know, I've been thinking about the next Story of Seasons game and what I'd like to see from it. For one, I was hoping it'll be on a console like the Switch instead of the 3DS, or maybe even on PC, which would be amazing, but I don't have my hopes up for that one. I thought I'd take a moment to talk about some of the things I'd like to see in the next game, be it additions, changes, or just random ideas I have. Also, these are my opinions, so it's okay to disagree with me, and you can tell me what you think in the comments, and that's alright with me. I'm going to talk about maybe 20-ish things that I'd like to see in the next Story of Seasons game. I have some of this scripted, but some of it I'm just going to ramble, so bear with me. Alright, so we're going to start off with littering. You know how in the old games littering was so bad and it used to be the worst thing if you threw something? It was just gone, kaput, like you couldn't even pick it back up? I always found it odd there were so many negative effects of littering. Even in situations where no one was around to see you do it, you'd lose friendship with everybody in town in some situations. Heck, in Trio of Towns, if you threw trash in the pond between the towns, you would lose affection with everybody, and that's insane. On the bright side, in the newer games, you can pick stuff up after you throw them on the ground, where before you could accidentally throw something and it would disappear. Let's say you just bought some flour at the store to give to the harvest sprites, and you hit the A button too fast and you threw the flour, and suddenly everyone hates you. Now you might think, what I'm going to say is that I want to get rid of littering. On the contrary, my good farming pals, I want there to be litter already. That's right, I want there to be litter not done by you. My idea is that instead of all the littering being bad and all that stuff, what if you could unlitter the town by picking up trash and gain affection with all the townsfolk? It'd be super cool if trash would just kind of appear in town, kind of sporadically on the sides of the roads, kind of like the weeds in Animal Crossing but less extreme, and picking it up would net you bonus affection points with all the townsfolk. You know what I really miss? Mining. For some reason, in the last couple of Story of Seasons games, the mining has fallen to the wayside and has been reduced to being just a rock in the wall. At least in Trio of Towns you had a couple of rocks in the wall, but I think it's high time to bring back the mine in all of its glory. One of my favorite mines is in Friends of Mineral Town, where there was a lot of stuff to do and a lot of gems and stuff to collect in the mine. Unlike the original Back to Nature, Friends of Mineral Town had tons of ores and upgrades and jewels that you could find and tons of secrets in their two gigantic 255 floor mines. And I'd like to see something like that return with more options than just farming. It doesn't need to be to that extent. I'm quite happy with the mining in Magical Melody, Animal Parade. I'd even prefer the dig site over what we've been getting lately. Moving swiftly on, there was a button in A Wonderful Life that you could press to make all the cows come out to your field. What happened to that button? That button was amazing. You walked into your field, you pressed the button, the cows came outside. You pressed the button, they go back inside. That was so nice. It took all the stress out of taking your animals out to graze. If I wanted to take out my cows, I don't have to go back and forth through loading screens 8 to 10 times or whatever to bring all the cows outside. And in some cases 20 times, because I believe you can have 20 cows in Friends of Mineral Town. That's horrible. I think in one of the games you had a bell that you could use to bring the animals outside, but why not just let the animals come in and out with a button? You know, it's not fun to push the cows back and forth whenever it's gonna rain. It makes you just not want to put them outside at all. So bring back the button. This next thing, I have a feeling that most people are not going to agree with me on, but maybe some of you will. I don't like fertilizer. I have never liked fertilizer. Every game that's had fertilizer, no, I do not like it. I like the simplicity of a tomato being a tomato and a carrot being a carrot. If I go to my field, I pick a carrot, it is a carrot. It is not a 2-star carrot, it is not a 2.5-star carrot. And you don't want to be like Trio of Towns, which is like, this is a carrot that has like level 5 color and then level 3 size and texture, taste, or whatever. It had like all that different stuff. You're just making it complicated. Nobody that is me wants that kind of complication. And I feel like there's better ways that you could make the game better. You know, not just having more complicated crops. Give me more crops. Give me more reasons to grow different crops. Give me recipes. Give me stuff I can cook with the crops. Let me take the crops and turn them into something else. Like, let me turn the tomatoes into sauces and sell the sauces for more money. Or maybe make chop up the carrots, put it in the tomatoes, put them in a can. Have a canning thing, sell the canned food. But do something that isn't making me have to walk around and fertilize all my crops all the time, because I already have to water it. I don't want to do that again. And while I'm on the topic, without making this its whole other bullet point, I do not want to water my crops twice. Just water them in the morning or at night or whenever you can get to it. I don't want to do it twice. Unless there's only a positive reinforcement. Like, kind of like one of the games, if you watered them twice, it grew faster, but there's no negative reason to not water them twice. Also, make sure crops are profitable. I'm looking at you, Wonderful Life. The crops were not profitable. They had to fix it in the next game, because you'd spend 20... I'm going to spit in numbers right now. You spend 20 G in a bag of celery. You plant it. You water it twice a day for like 6 days. It grows. You sell that celery for 40 G. Not worth the effort when a random plant in the ground is worth like 40 G. Just saying. My next thing is also going to be a little bit of a tear for some people, but I am tired of the Harvest Goddess. Please get rid of the Harvest Goddess. I liked her originally. I liked her in Harvest Moon 64. I liked her in Harvest Moon Back to Nature. I liked her... That's it, actually. I liked it when she was kind of a secret. Like, you didn't really need the Harvest Goddess. You could play the game and not know she was even there if you never threw something in the pond. I believe you can hear about it, though, from a character saying that you can. But she wasn't, like, a main character. Harvest Moon games and the Story of Seasons games have somehow turned me against them. Like, they've done it so many times with the Harvest Goddess needing you to save her and all that stuff, and it just kind of gives me this weird vibe. I don't really like it, that it's just always like the Harvest Goddess needs saving. You have to save the Harvest Goddess every single game. I liked when the old man died and gave you a farm, and you have to prove your worth to keep the farm. Or your grandfather passed away and he wanted you to have the farm, and you want to make him proud. I liked that. A simple premise, not full of magic and stuff. I liked when the magic was kind of there, but like mysterious, not just in your face. Not like Harvest Sprites teleporting around, like shooting magical rainbows and being like, you're the chosen one, you're the only one that can see us, and our magic is for you to harness, and you need to grow these crops so that we can come out of the ground. No, I don't like that. I liked in Back to Nature and Friends of Marrowtown, there was a house full of Harvest Sprites. You gave them presents, they came and worked for you. I liked that. In Harvest Moon and Wonderful Life, there was the 3 Harvest Sprites that were in that tree and that like you ate a mushroom with, but you know, you weren't really sure they were real. Like, you were like, is my character just hallucinating? He did just eat a mushroom. I don't know, they don't really do anything. I want them to do something. I want the Harvest Sprites to be there. I'd love to see the 7 Harvest Sprites return, or at least the 3. But we need to not... Like, I didn't mind it in A Wonderful Life at all. They were just kind of side characters. You kind of talk to them. They kind of guard the doors, like the mountainside and stuff. I don't want to deal with the magic so much. Like, the Harvest Goddess being a statue. Just let me prove myself. Like, why is this a crutch? I just want to play... like a game. I wanted to have more of a realistic tone, and the weird magic stuff, it just kind of, it's getting off-putting at this point. I like the magic stuff when it's kind of mysterious. It's a secret. Like, you think you found out something. It's kind of there, but it's kind of, it's like not really explained, and it just kind of feels better as like a subtle touch. Like, there is magic in the world, but it's not like the whole thing is you trying to do some kind of like mystical quest. Why are these games so upbeat lately? I feel like everyone wants to be your best friend and everything's so happy all the time, except for the very rare occasions that something kind of sad happens. I kind of liked when the older ones, it kind of had this melancholy feel, and I'd like to see more sad things happen. I like when it's kind of down to earth. You kind of feel like it's real. Like, the drama and stuff makes the games feel more realistic. I liked how in some of the older ones you'd walk in a room and people were actually arguing. There was divorces, there was fights, there was death, there was people, you know, just missing and things like that. I'm kind of not really giving perfect examples, but there's just some things, like, there's a lot of people that didn't like each other, they'd fight, and I'd like to see more of that to kind of make it more real. Like, you could have upbeat tunes and you can make it fun and happy, but make sure you have a nice contrast. Have some sad moments. Have some moments in the rain where you have to stop and think about, like, your character's life and stuff like that. Like, A Wonderful Life did a wonderful job of that, having that feeling, but that was because you kind of went through your whole life and they kind of were able to do that. But even in some of the older ones, you know, just having some more character, because flaws make people realistic. If your characters aren't flawed, they won't feel real. I'd like to see them kind of focus more on like humanizing the characters and not making them just like, I'm the girl who likes cooking, and I'm the scientist man who likes to invent things, and I'm the crazy guy who does lots of weird stuff all the time. Like, I'd like to see some more fleshed out characters. Now I'm going to move on and say I want there to be one town. I don't like this whole let's have 3 towns. I'd rather have one really nice, fleshed out, really detailed large town than 3 smaller towns that don't match to each other and it's just there for the sake of variety but doesn't really feel different. I'm talking to you, Trio of Towns. I like that game. It's really good. It's pretty good. I want to say it's pretty good. I don't want to... Anyways, I'm comparing it to the old ones. I'd rather just have one nice big town where everything feels coherent and everyone talks to each other. I'd also really much like to see the characters kind of wander around and talk to each other and kind of feel like they move around realistically, because one of my biggest pet peeves is when the characters teleport. When you're following somebody, they go to another screen and they disappear. Now we're talking about going to another screen, so let's reel it back and open up a new bullet point. I'd like to see an open world again, kind of like A Wonderful Life, but even better. I'm not saying like a huge open world, I'm just saying the entire town free to explore, one loading screen. And I don't care if like the houses have loading screens, but it'd be cool if you could just go in and out of buildings without having the game to load, and it just kind of loaded on the fly. You can have hills and stuff to kind of obscure it or something like that, but I'd like a road that goes into town. You can see a town and you go back to your farm. I'm kind of looking forward to something being more like A Wonderful Life in style or Save the Homeland, but maybe more realistic, less realistic. I don't even care. I love the cartoony ones, I love the realistic ones, but I'm getting really tired of the 3DS style they've been doing for the last 3 games, starting at A New Beginning, Story of Seasons, then Trio of Towns. They've done pretty much the exact same thing 3 times in a row, just kind of trying to tweak it a bit. I want them to kind of go back and go to the full 3D open games. It'd be really cool to see like a seamless world where you can open the door to a shop, walk in the shop, and there's people sitting there. They're shopping, they're walking around, they leave, they walk back to their house. I'd like to be able to follow people around like a stalker and follow them throughout their day and have it be consistent. Like they wake up, they go outside. I don't care if they wake up and go outside and stand outside for 4 hours, and then they walk to the bar and stand in there for 4 hours and they walk home. But I want to see every step of the way. Like I want to see if they're just standing there all day, I want to see them stand there all day. I don't want to see them in their house and then walk out of there, like they walk out and I follow them and I'm right behind them and then suddenly they're on the opposite side of the map. It drives me crazy. Another game-breaking thing I'd like to see be gone. I know I'm really rambling now, but I don't like all these pausing cutscenes where the game stops. You lose control of the character, and it's inevitable, but they've been really bad about it lately, where you stop and everything's a cutscene, and your character agrees to everything. What if I didn't want to do that? What if I wanted to be a jerk in this save file? What if I didn't want to interact with people? You know, I want the option to be my own type of farmer, and I want to feel like I'm doing good things because I can, not because I have to. Also, on the note of littering and anti-littering, I'd love, instead of like, I didn't mind the chore system, but what if instead of the chore or part-time jobs in the story, I'm speaking specifically of Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns. I don't know, I'm getting so on topic of that, but they are the most recent games, so I'm going to bring them up. You can do chores or part-time jobs, but it always paused the game, loaded a mini game, you played the mini game, and then it went back to normal. I would like it better if it was like, hey, my crops need watering, you walk over and actually water them in real time. Like, you walk up to them, they're going, I need some help watering my crops, and you can just walk over and start watering their crops that are already there. No loading screens, like actually have it be a thing they need instead of a mini game for the sake of being a mini game. Maybe you can actually get a job where it's like, I want you to come over every day and milk my cows, and I'll pay you. So you wake up in the game and go, I have to go over to John's house and milk his cows, but you could forget to do it. Or you walk over to his house, milk his cows, go talk to him, he pays you. It's not a big, weird, like, game-breaking minigame. What I'm looking for is kind of like seamless. Like, I don't want so much jumping around. There's lots of weird teleporting and jumping around, and it's immersion breaking pretty much. I just want to be immersed. I want to feel like I'm there. I want to go on some dates. You know, I want to give people gifts. and I want to find a character that I want to date, either gender, and I want to be able to talk to them and be like, hey, let's go on a date. And you can go to the bar or maybe have a restaurant in town, and you can take your character and you sit down and you can have a conversation wheel or a conversation like flow chart, and you can be like, what do you want to talk about with them? And if you know them, by talking to them you learn things about them, and then you know the right things to say. So you can be like, hey, like what are some of your favorite foods? You can like ask them questions from a list of questions, not too many questions, but make it fun, but kind of make it so you can learn things about the other character, and then test you on it later. Maybe like see, like she goes, oh man, I just love the moon. Like I like sightseeing. So like later on you can be like, hey, you want to go on a date? You want to go for a walk and go look at the moon? But you also have the option to go to a restaurant or something like that. But because you know what they like, you can pick the date that they like more, and kind of get to know the characters. I'd like to have dates intermittent. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like just random dates, not just making it like one event, but being able to actually kind of court the person that you want to be with. I'd also love to have a status of you being in the status of dating. What I'm saying is I'd like there to be like a status of being in a relationship, and your characters will talk to each other as if they are. They'll come to your farm and visit you while you're working. They'll actually adjust their schedule, so they'll want to come visit you once in a while. They could ask you, hey, when's a good time for me to come over? And you can set a date, kind of like Animal Crossing. They could talk to you and they'd be like, hey, can I come over tomorrow at 7? And you want to be home tomorrow at 7 because they're coming over and they expect you to make them a dinner, something like that. I don't know, I think that'd be pretty cool. More events, more choices. I'd also love if like during town events that could happen, or where people ask you questions, there'd be consequences. Like there's options that aren't all the right answer. I'd love to have the wrong answer. Like, hey, can you help me? And you're like, no. And they're like, oh, but we really need this. And you're like, nah, I don't want to. And there's something that happens because of that. I also don't want your character to be the only one who can drive the plot. Like, I don't want your character to be the only person that can do something. Because one thing that always bothered me, this is an Animal Crossing complaint now, is like, you want to build this bridge. And they're like, oh, we're all going to chip in, right? And we're going to build this bridge as a town. And you start the bridge and you realize it's been like 3 weeks in real life and they put in like 300 bells out of the 10,000. I don't want that. I want to feel like the whole town's working together. I don't want it to feel like you're the only actual person in town. I want to feel like other characters in town can affect the plot and affect the world. Which brings me to rivals. Why do we not have rivals? I want to be worried that if I do not act soon, someone else will. I want characters to be interested in each other and have a big web of who likes who and who doesn't like who. I want this person to hate this person. I want two people to like the person that you want to marry. What if there's a girl that you're like, hey, I like her, but guess what? John over there and Steve over there, they both like her too, and they hate each other because they both know that they each like her. And she doesn't even like either of them because she likes you. And they don't know that yet. So then they come up and they're all angry with you. But then you're like, hey man, knock it off. I'm getting a little crazy here. I'm getting a little overboard. But you know what I'm saying? I want there to be more consequences. I want there to be more drama. I want the game to still be fun and kind of upbeat, but I want it to feel kind of more real. But I don't want people like fighting. I think that'd be ridiculous. It's a Harvest Moon game. I went a little overboard on the whole love triangle, but what I'm saying is I want there to be some kind of reason to do it soon rather than later, because I want the world to change over time. I want people that become friends, people to not like each other, and then I say don't like each. I don't want them to fight. I just want them to like kind of like go. I want them to have that little symbol above their head where they're like when they walk by you. But you can still make them like you anyway. You can be so likable that they still like you despite that like they didn't get their way. I want the stamina to go back to normal. I don't want this 5 heart thing on the top of my screen that I increased the hearts. I liked it when you couldn't really tell how tired you were, except for the expression on your character's face or like your animations. I think it should be more of something that you kind of feel out. And as you do it more, it will use less stamina. So maybe when you first start farming and you're swinging your hoe a couple times, you're really tired. But I think after doing that for a couple days, your character should get a little bit more stamina. Like every time you do an action, it gets easier because you should be getting stronger just from doing it all the time. And I don't think it should regress because that's just not fun. But the more you play, the more you do something, the better you get at it. The more you water your crops, the better at watering your crops you should be. It shouldn't tire you out so much. You should have an overall stamina bar that goes up over time the more you do stuff, and then each individual skill will take less stamina as you get better at it. So you'll be gaining more stamina by playing more and using less as you go for each thing. And I think that'd be a really good system to kind of incentivize you working hard and not just waiting to get more hearts or eating through it. And food needs to be worked on so that it's just better. Maybe make it so your character loses stamina slower, or have it restore stamina over time. Maybe if you eat food, your stamina will slowly rise, or your max stamina for the day will go up, or something. It'll get rid of some fatigue from you working too hard, something like that. Don't make it so you have to just constantly top yourself up with food like they've tried to do in the newer ones. They've give you a much less stamina to try to make you want to cook more, which was just a big chore. You got left this farm, but who's paying for this farm? I think it'd be cool if maybe you had some kind of financial responsibilities. Maybe your farm was in debt and you have to save the farm from debt. Or maybe it's not really that it's in debt, but you just got to pay for it. So, you know, if you're not working hard enough, if you're just sleeping through the summer, or like, I don't like winter, I'm just going to sleep through winter. Well, guess what? You didn't pay your bills and now your lights are turned off and their farm's going to be taken from you. That's what I'm talking about. Let's make it so you have to work hard just to keep your farm. But I don't think that it should be too hard. I think it should be reasonable. Like, especially early on, make it small payments. Just make it so you're kind of responsible. Make it automatic, too. I think it'd be neat. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it'd be kind of a neat option because it'd kind of get rid of people just wanting to sleep through every day just to kind of do it really fast and give you a reason to walk around. I don't like when the Harvest Moon clock is too slow. I don't like when it's too fast. If it's too fast, you don't feel like you have time for anything. If it's too slow, you have too much time and you get bored. And a lot of the new ones, I've been getting really bored because the clock is so slow, because I already watered all my crops and I took care of all my animals, and I don't really feel the need to talk to anybody, and it's only 7 a.m. That's something I can't really give you the answer for. I felt like Back to Nature nailed it on the timing. Friends of Mineral Town, timing. I thought Harvest Moon 64 was a bit too fast, but I felt like it was a good game because it kind of added to the challenge of doing, you know, getting everything done. Like, you kind of had to really manage your time. That was kind of stressful. I kind of wanted to be more laid back. Once again, A Wonderful Life. I feel like they did a really good job with the time. You have to give people enough time to do the things you expect them to do in the game. I can't say to speed it up or slow it down. It depends on what your character can do and what you're expected to do. If you're not going to have enough things to do, or the things that you do stop time, you're not going to have fun because you're going to have too much extra time. You need to make it so the day feels worthwhile, and also have things that happen at night that are different during the day. You know, like you can catch fireflies at night, you can catch different fish, you can, you know, do things like that. Maybe give us a reason to be up at night, or that's when you can go on dates, or that's a good time to go to people's houses and visit them and have like games and stuff. I'd like to see more home customization. Kind of like, I felt like Magical Melody did a really good job with the customization of the houses. I'd like to see your children grow up again. Like, maybe in stages, like every game year they move up, or maybe every couple game years they move up and up to maybe a teenager, or maybe they don't even have to do that, but I'd really like to see that again. But I don't know how you could do that realistically without everybody else aging. So, but I would like to be able to have children, maybe just have them grow really slow and give them up to like a teenager year or something, or just a child. Maybe make them like an upright walking child and just leave them there. But I thought that'd be pretty cool to have some kind of thing like that going on again. Now, I think I've run out of things to say. I don't want to be a yes man anymore. I want my character to have a choice. I don't want people forcing me to do things I don't want to do. I don't want forced cutscenes that are taking my control away. I never liked that in the new Story of Seasons games. There's a lot of cutscenes that just, it takes your character away, and then you're listening to people talk, and they're doing emotes. They're like, hi, and then your character waves, and then they do like a wave back, and then they talk to you, and then your character stops and nods, and then he does like a dance. I'm like, it's slowing things down. In the old ones, if you didn't want to listen to someone talk, you could mash the A button, and In the newer ones, you can't because they have to do all these animations in between the text boxes, which take forever. So let us button mash if we want to, because not everything they say is entertaining or interesting. I think that's pretty much all I have. That's all my bullet points. I think I've gone over all of them. I've become very rambly. If you listen to this whole thing, thank you so much. This is just some of the stuff I'm thinking about. I probably have more, but this is what I wrote down, and this is already getting kind of long. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, let me know things you'd like to see in the comments, things that you'd like to see changed, or what you agree with and what you don't agree with. There were some things I said that I was like, holy cow, what am I talking about? And I stopped myself because I was kind of going way off the rails. So I appreciate it. If you like the video and you're new, hit the button so you can see all my other stuff, and a rating would be appreciated. And I'm on Twitter and all that stuff, but I'm gonna go for now because I've been rambling forever. So see you next time.